Hey, I'm pretty close to on time twice in a row. See, I can be a responsible adult. I actually usually am really responsible. Although I have to say, I don't know how many of you saw it, but a while back, a video went around of a young lady talking about time blindness. And every time I'm running late for something, I think that to myself. I'm not going to say it's my new excuse because I would never tell somebody that, but I think that to myself and I just giggle. But anyway, excuse me. Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm very passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one you had envisioned for yourself, but what the hell are you waiting for? What are you going to do about it? But I'll tell you one thing. That's a good segue, Court. Hey, anyway, when you are dealing with health issues, it's really easy to feel like you're not enough because you know that you can't do all the things you used to do. You know that you're not able to do the things that other people expect you to do. You can't do the things that you expect you to do. So it's really easy to fall prey to this mindset, but you can't do that to yourself. This information, by the way, is from tinybuddha.com. Here's a great quote from Lori. I think it's pronounced Deshane. I'm not positive. Anyway, it's a great quote. We can't hate ourselves into a version of ourselves we can love. Well, of course you can't. You can't build from a negative foundation. So the first thing that you need to do is you got to stop comparing yourself to other people. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but here's the thing. You don't know. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know what's going on truly in somebody's world. All you know is what they've chosen to share with you. And usually that's such a small fraction of what somebody's life is like. And you know what? They compare themselves to other people too. Chances are. Don't don't be envious. If you want what somebody has, success leaves a trail. And with the internet, you can pretty much figure out it might not be easy, but you can pretty much figure out how somebody got from point A to point B. And if you want it bad enough, instead of sitting there envying that person and compare, oh, and they're so great and I'm not, well, then do something about it. And a way I heard this put once, and I really lean on this a lot. When I start down that trail, I try to remember that if I have to compare myself to others, I should compare myself to people who are less fortunate, not at all so I can be all high and mighty, but because it helps me remember to be grateful. It kind of grounds me, puts my feet back. Oh shoot! I just realized my notes are showing. Oops. It puts my feet back on the ground too. Oh, good grief, Corey! I swear this worked before I hit play or go or whatever the hell is happening here. Now I'm having a problem because it's just that kind of day. But you can't compare yourself to other people. Number two, you need to remember that that voice in your head, it lies to you. What you say to yourself is usually wildly exaggerated and biased. And you know what? Nobody is ever going to be as hard on you as you are on yourself. You need to understand that a thought, it's not a truth. It's just a thought. You don't have to believe it. You can just go, wow, that was freaking weird, and let it go. That's frankly what you should do because it's never a fair conversation in your head. Number three, you need to remember there is so much more right with you than wrong with you. Of course there is. It's really sad. I was talking to a friend the other day and I asked, what do you like about yourself? And they couldn't tell me. And I think that's really sad. It's a really wonderful person. And they couldn't tell me, couldn't come up with one thing. There's far more right with you than there is wrong with you. Look, you've made it this far. Maybe you're not thrilled with where your life is at. That's okay. You've still made it this far. You're obviously doing something right. You've survived. Give yourself a little bit of credit for that. Excuse me. don't don't spend all of your time and attention focusing on your flaws, which again, that voice in your head, it's so biased and so exaggerated, and very, very few people you ever encounter are going to be as harsh on you as you are on yourself. So make the choice instead to focus on your strengths. And you know what? If you're not sure, and look, I've been there. I used to be so freaking severely depressed. If you're not sure, ask. Ask people around you. There, I can guarantee there's somebody in your life who would love to lift you up. I have said for years that the greatest gift that I wish I could give my friends is for them to see in themselves the qualities that I see in them. I actually have a specific person in mind right now. And if she's watching this, I know she's going to probably remember this conversation, even though it was a long time ago. But you need to allow the people who love you to lift you up. Seriously, that's what they're there for. So don't, again, don't focus on your flaws. Focus on the good qualities that you have. This one's hard for me. Number 4, you need to give yourself grace. You especially need to give yourself grace when you feel like you don't deserve it, because that's when you need it the most. That's when you need to allow the people around you to love you. It's also one of the hardest things to do when you're stressed, when you're angry, when you're anxious or depressed. It's hard. I'm very fortunate. I have several women in my life, some that I know through social media, 3. Um, Actually, I'd have to say more than that. Anyway, and several that I know from my church in Texas. And I know for a fact I can call any one of those ladies and say, "Look, I am having a bad day and I'm really down on myself. I need some love and support," and I'll get it. But on the days when I need that, ain't no way in hell. It's so hard for me to reach out and ask, but we have to allow the people who love us to uplift us. Excuse me. You need to accept yourself. You need to accept yourself for who you are right here and right now. Again, that's not saying that everything is perfect. You can have plenty of things to work on. But here's the thing. If you can't make peace with who you are right now, how in the hell are you ever going to build a foundation to grow from? You have to have a positive, solid foundation to build from. So maybe your life's not where you want it to be. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's millions of people out there in the same boat. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to just sit there and feel sorry for yourself? Or are you going to say, you know what? Things could be better, but look at where I'm at. You've survived. You've made it this far. Excuse me. Number 6, you need to focus on how far you've come instead of how far you have to go. And this is difficult, especially because we're an instant gratification society, and it's only getting worse because, I mean, come on. I remember, I am old enough to remember when microwaves first became a thing, and oh my gosh, they were so fast and everybody was amazed. Microwaves are a lot better than they were then. And now pretty much everybody I know is just like, come on, hurry up. But focus on how far you've come. I look at myself and there's so many things like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do better here? And I should be further there. But then I stop. Don't always do this, but when I can stop and step back and look at it from a more rational, less emotional perspective, it's like, wow. Y'all, I used to be a heavy smoker. I I was such a junk foodaholic. I mean, it was nothing for me to go out and have a bacon cheeseburger 2 or 3 times a week. How the hell do you think my health was? And that was before all my health, that's probably part of why my health problems got so bad. But I've come a long way from that person. I've come such a long way from the bitter, angry, hopeless person that I used to be. When I was first diagnosed, fibromyalgia was my first diagnosis. And when I was first diagnosed, it was still not very well understood or known, but it was even worse back then. And I was severely depressed. I seriously couldn't see any hope in my future. All I could see for myself when I looked ahead was more doctor's appointments and more pain and more medication and just yuck. It was no way to live. Well, you know what? It changed my attitude. I've come a long freaking way. Do I still have those health problems? Yes. In fact, now I've added several diagnoses since then. What am I going to do about it? Sitting around feeling sorry for myself, it's not going to change anything. And I know that. So when I start to fall into that trap, I'm only human, but this shit gets to me sometimes. It's hard to live with. It's hard to live like this. But when I look back to how far I've come since I was first diagnosed, to how I'm a better person now. And I'm so grateful for that. If you were to wave a magic wand right now and say, hey, can solve all your health problems, but you have to give up all the lessons that you learned as a result, I wouldn't do it. I really wouldn't. And that might sound insane. As I sit here, I will admit, as soon as I said that out loud, this little voice in my head going, shut up, bitch. But I wouldn't, because I am a better person now. I'm much kinder. I have so much more empathy and compassion. And believe it or not, some of you know me fairly well through social media. I'm actually a lot more patient now than I used to be. Look, my patience is very situational. I can, like, if I'm waiting for my doctor, not just any doctor, I'll sit there and wait for hours. I'll never bitch. Why? Because if I need her time, I get it. If I'm at a restaurant, I'm going way off topic. If I'm in a restaurant and the service is slow, as long as I can see people are hustling, I'm patient. I really am. People online, I'm not so patient. But you need to focus on how far you've come instead of how far you have to go, because you know what? You're still a lot further than you were at the beginning. There's a great quote. I'm getting off topic, but there's a great quote about how our windshield is so much larger than our rear view mirror, because where we're going is so much more important than where we've been. So if you've got things in your past you're not proud of, you got to find a way to make peace with yourself. Again, if you can't make peace with yourself, if you can't appreciate and frankly love yourself for who you are here and now, you're not going to be able to grow very far. You can't build on a negative foundation. Finally, am I on number 7? I am on number 7. You guys are like, oh, thank goodness anybody's made it this far. Self-criticism is never going to take you to success. Self-criticism will never equal success. Now, I'm not saying don't be self-reflective and don't be open for growth, but sitting there telling yourself what a horrible piece of crap you are, you're not going to be able to grow that way. You need to be kind to yourself. There's a thing I stole from a former mentor years ago. It's simple, but it's effective. When that voice in my head starts, I just tell myself that's not true, because it's not true. And logically, you know that bullshit in your head is not true. You can't hate yourself to success. You can't hate yourself to fixing your life. You can't. You need to counter all your irrational crap with rational thoughts. If you have to, get out a damn pen and paper, make a list. Make a list of all the ridiculous shit you tell yourself. And if you can't find a way to put it in a more positive perspective, ask somebody to help you. I just realized I bet men would never do that under, like, I won't say never, but rarely. I bet there'd be very few circumstances where a guy would do that, which is kind of a shame, because I think y'all would benefit from it. Anyway, finally, and this is my thing, finally, number 8, if you feel like you're not enough for who? Who in the hell, why do they have that power? Whoever it is that you feel you're not enough for, who gave them that power in your life? You did. But why? Why? Even, actually, especially if it's family, you don't need to put up with people treating you like crap. You just don't. If they don't think you're enough, if there's anybody in your life who doesn't think you're good enough for them, well, it might hurt, but chalk it up as a learning experience and just let it go and go fix your own self. What is it they say? Living well is the best revenge. Anyway, I hope you'll have a wonderful afternoon. I have I have a lot of things I really should do. I don't know how much of it I'm going to get done because are you ready? Are you ready for a big surprise? I don't feel very good today. I know that's so shocking. But real quick side note, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know what has happened all of a sudden, but in the last several days, when I get ready to exercise, I'll wake up and I'm achy and I'm tired. I'm not sleeping real good because the pain keeps me awake. And I wake up and I'm in my head. I'm kind of being mean to myself. But as soon as I start getting ready to exercise, my whole mood changes. And I think that is really freaking cool. And I hope I can keep that up because, I mean, dancing has always made me happy, but to have my mood shift so drastically and so quickly has been really damn cool. So I hope it keeps up. Anyway, y'all take care. I'll be back Wednesday about